Hello again, it's Noob, and if you're wondering if I'm holding a bunch of lockpick handles, the answer is yes, I am. These are the new Multipick HILO handles, and HILO apparently stands for High Sensitivity Low Interface. And these are, well, they're a little bit special. Let me just show you. So what do you see here? Well, you see some nice black textured plastic. You can probably see there's a seam there. They are in two parts. There's a Multipick logo on both sides. There is some stippling or little raised portions to add some grip when you're holding the lockpicks. I like to hold mine between thumb and forefinger, but you might have a different way of holding them. And you can see there's a hole at one end. If I separate these two, and I don't have any fingernails at the moment, so this is very easy to do. You can see on the inside there are a bunch of flat square-ish magnets, and you can see some little pins here and holes on either end to add some stability. And what's more, these handles are designed to work with Multipick's range of lockpicks, the 0.6mm, 0.5mm and the 0.4mm thick lockpicks. So these are different sort of gauges of picks. You can see how flexible this 0.4mm one is and relatively how stiff this 0.6mm one is here. But these handles, this handle system, should I say, works with all three thicknesses. And before we go any further, for full disclosure, these lockpick handles were sent to me by Multipick to review and to keep. It's not a paid review or thoughts of my own. I have actually worked with Multipick in the past on various designs, hope to continue to do so in the future. So anyway, back to the actual pick handles, and you see that these actually do likely stick together because of the magnets. They're so easy to put together. You can see here I've got my two halves. I pop one in. This is the 0.6mm. I'll put all three of these short hooks in, and it nestles in extremely tightly. So these are definitely made for these multi-pick picks. And then you just pop the two sides together like that. They snap together, and there you go. And they actually add somewhere around about 1 centimetre, 10mm more at that end. I haven't actually measured it, but that's just by eye, which could be quite nice if you prefer a longer pick handle. Let's try this 0.5mm pick. And this is just so quick to do. There isn't really any, there isn't really anything to worry about. Just pop them in, close it up, done. And there you go, all three gauges of pick in their handles, looking very neat and tidy indeed. And what's more is that they are really sort of stable in here as well. It's really hard to show you on camera, but I don't want to bend the pick too much, but no amount of wriggling and jiggling is separating these two halves. Not to say that you can't separate them, they're actually quite easy to separate like this. But I think these magnets actually, because they're flat and relatively large, they have such good contact with the metal in the pick handles that it just keeps those two sides together really nicely. And there is really very little flex. I think that the sandwich handles in the lockpicks like this are already quite firm, and because there is very little I guess space between the handles and the metal itself, it just makes one sort of continuum and makes it nice and stiff. Without the picks, the handles are a little bit more flexible, as you can imagine, but not by much. So this is the 0.6mm pick, and you can see how there is a little bit of room there either side of where the shank comes out of the plastic handles, but it's really in there very, very tightly. Same with that 0.5 there. Again, it's just in very stably. And of course that flexi 0.4, you can see there's a little bit of room either side, but it keeps the pick central. Very, very cool. Now you might be thinking, do these handles fit in a multi-pick case? And the answer is it depends which case and where you want to put them. Clearly, the picks with the handles on being just that little bit thicker and not going to fit into this type of case where the sandwich metal handles are held in quite tightly as they are, where you have some spaces which don't have quite as tight stitching. Of course they do fit in, but you might be better off using a different style of case to hold your picks, like this Multipick 17-piece pick set case, just because they are just that little bit more bulky. So why might you want one of these handles? Well, aside from the extra length that these handles give you, you may want these for the extra grip, the extra comfort, because quite often the bare metal handles for extended periods of lockpicking, say you're doing a lot of practicing or working on a job for a long time, these bare metal handles can become a little bit more uncomfortable, I would say. Some people like to put some shrink tube over them or wrap them in other ways, but these handles provide a very quick way of applying something which is just that little bit thicker, a little bit more grippier, a little bit longer to the lockpicks you already have without actually, adding anything sticky or semi-permanent to the pick handles themselves. And of course they are reusable, so if your picks fatigue or snap or break or in any way, then you can just swap out your picks and go again. I've found that if you are finding separating these two halves a little bit tricky, you can always put in a pick like this and just twist it slightly to separate the two halves. So although we're not really reviewing the picks, I've got to pick at least one lock, right? So I've chosen just the standard 0.6mm short hook in that nice handle. Feels very comfortable. Got just a little 5-pin IFAM E50 padlock, which has some good spool pins in. So it's a really nice sort of lock to pick. Pin 3's binding here, so just lift that into a bit of a false set. We'll go on pin 4 here, lift that back to a false set. Pin 3, that was some counter rotation there. Pin 1 there. Oh, and we are open. Look at that, lovely. And how about this lovely all brass little ABUS lock here? So let's have a go, see what we can do. Pin 1's binding. Quite high up, I think. There we go. Pin 2. I think we drop pin 1 now, but we'll repick that. Try pin 3 here. Bit of counter rotation. Feels good, but I think we again drop pin 1. Oh, there we go. We have the open. Finally, for no other reason than I think that the black vinyl lock in sort of an all brass configuration with the black lockpick handles, it just works really nicely on camera, doesn't it? So yeah, let's pick this little Avset padlock. Really nice padlock actually. It's all brass, lots of spools, just really nice. So I can already feel pin 3 there. Give that a little push. 1 gives me some false set. 2 into false set. At the back here, this is pin 4. That felt good, but we're not open. So I need to find pin 2 there. 3 feels like it's binding. Counter rotation, and we're open. There we go, lovely. So there you go. I mean, look, picking some locks isn't really showing you what the handles do, but I'm a lock picking channel. I wanted to pick some locks, and at least it showed that the handles stay on, I guess. But why wouldn't they? But yeah, I had a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed watching those little picks anyway. And I'd like to do some conclusions at this point. Some things I like, some things I don't like so much or would improve. I don't know what I can particularly say about them negative though. That's the problem. Let's go with the positives first. The positives are they do add a little extra length to the picks, which I really appreciate. I'll get another lock pick here and you'll see how holding them in the same position, like I'm picking a lock, this rests nicely here, and the shorter ones also, well, they do rest, but you've got to just move your hand in a little bit further to make sure that they do rest on the sort of crook of your hand here. It's not a big deal. That's how you adjust to shorter lock picks, but it is a little bit more comfortable with that extra centimetre at the end, the extra width, I feel. And again, it just might be my personal feelings, but I do feel that my hands were less fatigued using the picks in the handles than normal. I mean, I just shoved a load of handles on and did some picking earlier and they felt great. I didn't do a side-by-side comparison though, but I normally find that slightly thicker handles, not like way thick, are just a little bit more comfortable. The grips are nice and grippy. You don't feel that you're sliding off this, even when my hands were getting a bit hot and a little bit clammy earlier. So that's really nice. I think they look really good as well with that sort of almost brushed texture and the logo from Multipick on there. And they're so easy to sort of get on and off. They grip on, like I said, really well. I don't want to damage the pick, but they grip on really well. They're not coming off. You might find if you flex these a lot, you might get a tiny bit of separation at this end, but you know that it closes up really easily, and you've really got to flex those picks for a while before you get that tiny amount of separation, I found. So yeah, they hold on really well, and they're very comfortable. So anything sort of negative or anything I'd change? I mean, I think Multipick just did such a good job with these. I really like them. It's hard to think of anything really negative. I'm curious, I guess, as to whether over time your pick handles may become slightly magnetic, being exposed to magnets either side. But even if they did, I'm not entirely sure that would matter. Of course, there is the issue that you need to find a case that these will fit into, because they won't fit into every space in every multi-pick case. So again, there is that. And you know, if you do flex these back and forth a lot with use, you can find that sometimes the end separates out by a couple of tenths of a millimeter, but you can just push them back together and it's back to normal. But you've really got to work at it to get that separation. But other than that, these hold on really strongly. I mean, they're not going to come off anytime soon. They're just not. No, they're just a really nice design. So yeah, other than the fact that they will struggle to fit in every space in every multi-pick case, and that they may, and I don't know for sure, slightly magnetize your pick handles if you leave them on or something. I don't know. There isn't much negative I can say about these. I think they just work as intended. They're comfortable. They add that extra little bit of length. They add some nice grip. Yeah, really nice. I like these. So what will these handles cost you? Well, at the time of filming, and of course prices will go up and they'll go down, exchange rates will differ over time. You know, all of that stuff doesn't include postage and I know any import duty that your country may have, etc, etc. But as a guide price, these are currently at £10.57 for a set of 3 HILO handles, which is around €12.47 or around $14 and 10 cents. So they might not be, you know, extraordinarily cheap, but they are just really nicely made, and I really like how easy these are to take on and off, swap your picks out. So you might not need many of these unless you really wanted to go out and, you know, make a whole massive set of them. You might not need too many of these handles just on your sort of most used picks and rakes. You know, you could probably only buy 3 or 6 maybe. You don't have to buy a massive bag of them. But yeah, that's the prices of these. I'd really like to know in the comments what you think. Do you like the idea of adding these handles? Do you like the mechanism that Multipick have chosen with the magnets? Do you like the extra length that they give? I just would really like to know your personal comments on these. I know that there are alternatives to make your picks more comfortable, some home brew methods, but yeah, I'd just like to know what you think to these handles in the comments below. I do read all the comments and reply to as many as I can, and it doesn't matter what your opinion is, it's valid, and if you put it in the comments, other people will be able to read them too. If you like this video, then hit that like. If you think I deserve it, then please subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell. It really helps me out and I really appreciate it. Otherwise, stay safe, happy picking, and I will see you all next time.